with Paul Daner, Mark Shalafoo, from listener questions to some running gags. Insider stories, ambush light, that dad life and respect for flags. Kick off the weekend, alright? It's the Growler Friday Show. It's Who Dey Light.
All right, welcome into the latest edition of Who Dey Light. Paul Daner Jr., Mark Shalafoo here with you on a Friday morning. Happy weekend to you, Mark. How we doing?
I'm doing good. Maybe not as good as you, but I'm doing okay. So,
why do you think I'm doing so good? What if I'm doing terribly?
Because here's the reality is that we both have a very different relationship with this team. You know, you come at it from this professional standpoint where it's still an interesting, compelling season. They're going into maybe the biggest offseason ever. So there's plenty of storylines for you. But for me as a fan, it's a much darker time than it was 3-4 weeks ago. But I'm still hanging in there, still trying to be positive.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. The play out the string portion of the program in December is never delightful. But you know what I will say, the locker room vibes. We've been all about the vibes this year.
Yeah,
big conversation point all the way back to Trey Wingo's tweet, which proves a little more prophetic. Maybe we shouldn't have made fun of it as much as we did.
I know. We really ruined that one.
They've kind of improved a little bit this week. It felt like yesterday. It felt like everybody's kind of like the exhale of like, well, okay, this season's lost. Let's at least have fun, right?
Yeah.
It feels like that's kind of where they're at. So maybe that'll help. Maybe that will help improve.
What flag are you flying today? Is there a post-vacation flag that you've got up?
Well, look, I mean, it's the Christmas season. The Christmas flag is flying. Santa's flapping in the wind as we speak. This is what it's going to be.
That's nice. You get to put one up and just kind of forget it. Just set it and forget it for the season.
Set and forget it for a month. It holds down. Now I need to get out there and get the lights up and all that stuff. I'm behind on that. So that's going to be a big task to hit up this weekend before I head to Dallas.
Yeah, because you're running out of time. If you don't get it up this weekend, it's kind of just like punt till next year.
Yeah, it's weighing on me heavily right now. Actually, as we speak, I kind of want to cut this short and get out there and get those lights up.
I'm in the same boat, although I'm not going to get my lights up. I feel like I should, but first holiday season in the new neighborhood, you got to suss it out anyway, and see what kind of a neighborhood you're in. Do you put up the inflatables that were in the last? I don't know. You got to wait and see. This is a little bit classier street maybe, so can't commit to putting up all our normal decorations.
Yeah, you never know if you live in an inflatables world. Like what? How are they perceived here? Is that too low? Is that too much? I mean, you're right. That's a big move when you go to your first time in the new street.
I'm just glad I don't live in a neighborhood that's doing fireworks on June 30th. Like they're pretty good about keeping it to just 4th of July, whereas the old spot, it's fireworks all summer long to celebrate America, just constantly.
Always American Day. By the way, I understand you maybe not having as much time because you are at Go Bananas this weekend in Cincinnati. Yes. Go Bananas. You're there through Sunday, right?
Yep. 2 shows Friday tonight, 2 shows Saturday, 1 show Sunday. We had a couple Growl Pals at the first show on Thursday night. Thursday is always the laid back fun night. And so there were a couple of them there. It was always good to see. We talked a little football. There was a Chiefs fan too in the front row and not a typical, well, maybe this is a typical Chiefs fan. He's been a Chiefs fan for 6 years. So he's good times for him. Got to see some Super Bowls and a lot of wins during his long, tortured 6 years as a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
That's great. Well, make sure go check out Mark at Go Bananas this weekend if you're in town. If you're Growl Pal, just let them know. Let them know. We always want to see where the Growl Pals come out. Love that. Also, you can also see us and Mark at BetMGM, Nation Kitchen Bar at the Banks. As you know, exclusive home for all of our live shows. Next game, home game against the Browns. We will be down there doing a live show. That'll be a 10 a.m. kick for us on the 1 o'clock game. We got flexed out of the Thursday night, which is going to be a big, fun nighttime show. But now we're gonna go bloodies and mimosas again. We're gonna do it. We can put on our morning hats. More to come on that in terms of some of the stuff you're gonna see if you get to come down there. Really looking forward to that. But between now and then, of course, they do big stuff. Whether it's UFC. Pay-per-views, you can go watch those down there with no cover. They've been getting big crowds at those. The second chance drawing on Thursdays, you can join Jay making money down there. But any big event, anything you want to watch, Great place to go. Great drinks, great food, great atmosphere, tons of TVs. NationKitchenandBar.com. Reserve a table to make sure you have one today. All right, Mark, what do you got? What's your favorite story of the week for the Bengals?
I mean, I feel like we got to talk about the BatMobile stuff, right? Like,
yeah, we do.
You got to get into BatMobile.
We really do. Yeah, we really do.
It was probably the highlight for the Bengals from that first episode of Hard Knocks. Is hearing that Joe Burrow has bought the BatMobile. Here's my first question, right? Because he's not on social media. He's not a super plugged in guy. Who in Joe Burrow's crew went to him and was like, hey, you could buy a BatMobile? Because it had to be somebody, right? Like, there's got to be some guy in the entourage or a friend or maybe somebody else on the team. Who do you think put that seed in his head?
I think it was maybe somebody in Paris.
Oh, that could be.
When he's over there, he's doing Fashion Week. He's hobnobbing with all of these, people that just have no idea what to do with all the money that they have. And next thing you know, someone's like, yeah, did you hear that the BatMobiles, they're selling 10 of them for $2.9 million a piece? You can just get one. Joe perks up. There we go. I also love the fact that apparently his financial advisor was like, you should not do this.
Yeah, I think he needs a new financial advisor. The guy's got a ton of money.
Yes.
Let him have a little bit of BatMobile money, keep him happy. He's not buying BatMobiles for the entire city, but I mean, come on, you got to let the guy live a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's not street legal, which brought me to okay, so what's his usage here of said BatMobile? And I love the idea of him driving it near Paycor Stadium and a cop being the one to pull him over and be like, look, Mr. Burrow, I hate to be the one to let you know this, but that's not street legal. We're going to have to cut you a ticket. I mean, I think the cops all know, look, that's Burrow. It's his BatMobile. We just kind of look the other way on this one. We're not going to get into it. Just let him drive the BatMobile around. We just want to make sure he's happy.
Yeah, he doesn't need to run his errands in it. I feel like he should break it out for
What if that was the
occasions?
only thing he did was go to Kroger?
He's just, and he's waiting for his groceries to get delivered out to the parking lot because he's just in the pickup section. Very way to stay under the radar with that. But I feel like it would be a good recruiting tool. You got these biggest offseason in franchise history coming up. All these free agents will come to town and, you can do the big dinner and all that stuff. But what's going to be cooler than a ride around the city in the BatMobile? And that way the cops know to lay off them because they're like, oh, Joe's out there doing work right now. He's trying to bring new guys into the team. Let's let him have a few laps around the city in this BatMobile.
I like where your head's on that one. You know what he does? This is it. This is what he tells his financial guy. Look, I'm buying this as a recruiting tool. I'm going to file an expense report. You're going to pretty big one. Be ready for that one to come down the pike. Expense the $2.9 million BatMobile as something he's used to try to recruit players to town. I think that's where you go from this.
Or at the very least, I feel like it could be the new Mike Brown golf cart ride. If there's a guy that's kind of struggling, needs a pick me up, or somebody that needs to, kind of talk through a big career decision, instead of having an elderly man drive you around the practice field, you get to take a lap or two with Burrow in the BatMobile, really talk it out with the real leader of the team and kind of recalibrate from there. I feel like that would be a good use for his BatMobile.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's all important decisions, all important conversations that you have to have with Burrow must happen in the BatMobile. And if it's not street legal, that's okay. Just drives it around the parking lot and the parking garage underneath the stadium a little bit. And
of course, I don't know why people keep saying that it's not street legal. Like what did they think? Like in the movies that Batman was just buying that at like the Toyota dealership? Of course, it's not street legal.
Maybe during Toyotathon. Yeah, I mean,
they should make one.
Well, the other thing is the indoor facility that the bubble, the indoor facility they have down there is a little bit of a walk. Some guys, when it's cold, they get on the bus. Some people walk. They have golf carts, also not street legal, but you'll see the golf carts out there. I think that's it. He strictly uses it to go to the bubble, to the indoor for whenever they're in the indoor practice. So everyone else is on the bus, right? And then Joe just BatMobiles his way down to go to his little walkthrough. I love that idea. How many people
can you fit in that BatMobile?
Can't be that many. I mean, it looks impressive from the outside, but it's not it doesn't look roomy.
Yeah, you can't throw all your boys in there and go on a road trip cross country in the BatMobile, although that would be fun. Here, the last question that I have about this whole thing, though,
Yeah.
is like, if you are an offensive lineman for Joe Burrow, how does this change what he gets the lineman for Christmas? You know, if he's throwing around BatMobile money, and then he's like, all right, I got you guys some AirPods. Thanks for protecting me sometimes. I feel like that's it's tough.
Now, what if it turns out he bought 10 Batmobiles, one for everybody that has played offensive line in front of him this year? That would be the most legendary thing you could possibly do.
That would be sick as hell, but I feel like there's only some guys that deserve a Batmobile. Some guys probably deserve a golf cart, so I think that would be fun if he's like, listen, this is in order of how you played this year, so Orlando Brown, you can get the Batmobile, and maybe somebody else is just getting like a motorcycle, and then somebody else is getting like a really nice bike.
Yeah, the Alex Kappa scooter. It's like all the way down the line. I love it. That's great stuff. All right, I have a favorite story.
Yeah.
My favorite story is, I don't know if you saw this. This was Rob Gronkowski with Julian Edelman on the Dudes on Dudes podcast. Hey, no competition for us. We got love for Dudes on Dudes. Great stuff. But Gronk, did you see how he was telling the story about what happened? How he almost
I missed this story, and
okay,
I'm just hearing little snippets. So give me the full read on this. What happened?
Okay, so this goes back to a few years back. The Patriots drafted somebody named Malcolm Brown, and Malcolm Brown, when he was drafted, I guess Gronk got a text of someone who's like, hey, got drafted by you, excited, whatever, to join the Patriots. And Gronk sent something back to him and said, hey, it's gonna be great to have you. And then eventually called later that night, and turns out it was a wrong number. He got duped by a fan, and he got pissed by that. And he's like, man, I'm never getting duped again. I'm never sending anything back about anything football related for people from unknown numbers. So that's like becomes his stance. Never gonna do that again. So he's retired, and he says on some pods during some media about how if he ever would play for a quarterback, it would be Joe Burrow. I actually remember this happening. I remember that being a storyline that was in the news for a couple of weeks. It was after the Super Bowl season, entering that 2022 year was when that conversation happened. And Burrow apparently texted Gronk and was like, hey, come on, let's go. Let's play, basically. And Gronk's like, nope, that's not real.
Oh, no.
I'm not getting duped again.
No.
So he never sends anything back. Burrow told us yesterday, he said, yeah, he ghosted me. And so Gronk, in telling this story, says they go to the white party this year. We talked much about the white party, all the big to-dos, fanatics, whatever. Anybody that's anyone is there. And Gronk says hi to Joe. He said they're maybe not talking for 10 seconds, and Joe just said, hey, you never responded to me. And Gronk immediately knew what had happened, that, it really was Joe Burrow, and he sort of apologized. And Malcolm Brown and some prankster troll kept the Bengals from Rob Gronkowski. There are sliding door effects to this, by the way. Think about that 2022 team. They were like one player away. I mean, they were so close. Now, Hayden Hurst was good. He was fine. He wasn't Gronk. Like he wasn't Gronk. And remember the AFC Championship game? Tyler Boyd gets hurt.
Oh yeah.
Chiefs go to a double on Higgins and Chase, and they just needed another guy. And they were leaving Hurst one-on-one, and they never really kind of utilized him in all these big spots. If you had Gronk, not to mention what he could have given you in the run game.
Dang.
I mean,
come on, Malcolm Brown. Damn.
Malcolm Brown. Well, whoever was impersonating Malcolm Brown, that guy with the long con. Plus, for me, selfishly, you would have given me thinking about his media career after football, Rob Gronkowski, at least for a year when the team was winning.
Right, when they're winning a good playoff run with Gronk in that phase.
He would have been incredible. He would have been absolutely incredible. I even wrote a Burrow in comparison to Brady story that year and was looking for more voices to be a proper comparison. I could have had Gronk right there in the locker room.
What a great bridge that would have been between those two guys, too. And, that would have been.
I had Ted Karras. He was helpful.
Days. Yeah.
Ted was great. But it could have been Ted and Gronk. Gosh,
that stinks.
It hurts. It cuts deep. But what a story. I mean, how you never know how close it really is. Who knows?
So yeah, now if it was a chance, if Joe Burrow would send that text today, he could also just send a picture of the BatMobile in his garage, and then that would be like, all right, well, this is clearly the real Joe Burrow, because not everyone's got one of these in the garage. So
he needs to start. That needs to be like his tagline on every single text he sends to just a random free agent. There's no question. Again, expense report.
Yes.
Use it every time. Becomes his calling card. Here you go, Mike. Gonna need to compensate for that one.
Yeah. And honestly, the team probably should give him a BatMobile at this point, just as an apology for how badly they bungled his great, career season. Yeah. In fact, they sat him with this defense. There should be a mea culpa where it's like, here you go. Have a BatMobile on us. Forget the season. Yeah. We'll do better. No more Sheldon Rankins moves next year. We'll do a little bit better there. Have a BatMobile.
Goodness. All right. I need to rank your tweets real quick. So I'm going to do a 3 countdown. You know what? You weren't as Bengals heavy, and I get it. It's a dark place. So, but there was one that I really enjoyed that I wanted to make sure got the love it deserved. And that is, every time I go through a West Virginia toll plaza, I feel like they should be paying me.
They should. That is one of the least enjoyable drives that you can have. It's just carving up West Virginia that way. And it's too much. In this day and age, I get some toll roads, right? You're on a bridge in a major city, but gosh, going through West Virginia sucks anyway. I do feel like they should be giving you a little bit of a kickback. Thanks for being here. Go have fun somewhere in this state.
Yeah, well, we did the drive. We were all the way through Pennsylvania and then in through New Jersey and into New York on part of vacation. And it's funny, like, you got to get mad at the state of New Jersey when you go from you just drive through the turnpike in Pennsylvania and they just grab your plate and they mail you whatever the fee is. New Jersey, no, it's tolls. You got to stop. You got to get the ticket. You got to pay. It's supposed to be they prefer. If it's cash, that's an issue. Like, all of it. I'm like, man, what are we doing? Come on, New Jersey. Like, I'm mad at New Jersey right now.
West Virginia is the same, where it's like, I got to count out dollar bills and quarters here. Like, what? Get with the times. I'm supposed to breeze through. Yeah, yes. You send me a note like 2 months from now that I ignore. But at least, let's do this like a civilized society. Yeah, when you're actually paying a person, that is the worst. I guess I don't think they still do it everywhere, but New Jersey's still like one of the few states that has like the gas station guy. Did you run into that at all, where they like the gas station attendant that has to fill up your tank?
No, I did not have to do that.
That's another thing that always peeves me.
I have before when I was flying out of Newark. Actually, now that I think about it, filling it up, it was very weird.
Like, wait, what? How is this a job? Get out of here! Yeah. I can fill my own gas tank.
All right, so that was number 3. Number 2, Geno Stone can make plays no other safety can make, like missing 2 tackles on the same play.
Yeah, it was tough.
It's true. He's setting a new bar.
He really is. He really is. I'm so glad that the communication between the safeties is better this year. So it's just they can take turns saying "my bad" to each other. I don't know. I'm not super thrilled with the Geno Stone experiment.
No, not many are. Last one. Bengals doing an amazing job helping Joe Burrow win Comeback Player of the Year awards. It's true. He admitted yesterday, I don't know if anyone's ever won the Comeback Player of the Year award twice, but it's something. He said it matters to him, apparently.
He's the odds-on favorite to win it this year, and if Orlando Brown's not going to play the rest of the season, he might get a third. There might be a third in his future, because who knows what the rest of the season holds for him if that offensive line, the only good parts of it, start falling apart. He's already getting hit enough as it was. And if he's going to take 5 more games of shots for what? I know he's a competitor. You can't make him sit, but I don't want him to get hurt because we're playing Cody Ford too much and Volson too much.
He sounds very, very, very uninterested in the idea of sitting any games the rest of this year. That does not sound like it would land well. He spent a long amount of time listing all the reasons that he needs to play yesterday. I was actually going to ask him it directly, and I was like, I don't think I need to. He told us pretty directly. He was over and over and over again, basically all the reasons why he wants to play and sees value in the season. And so I don't think you're going to see. You're just going to have to sweat it out, everybody. Sweat it out.
But it's all the guys.
If he wins a third, if he wins a second, I think you have to consider naming the award after him.
Oh, absolutely. And especially, if he gets hurt in these last few games and then he's trying to win his third next season, he's going to become the champion of that. I think he's got it locked up at this point. I mean, he's played so freaking good that I think he's going to, right now, I think he's like minus 175 as the odds on favorite, but I feel like that should be even lower than it is. People should be grabbing that right now because he's got that locked up.
Yeah. You never know. I mean, look, I really thought Damar Hamlin had it pretty locked up coming back from dead to all the way to playing. But apparently they said, no, Joe Flacco coming back from his couch was more important. So you never know where comeback player of the year is totally going to go. So I'm not going to go saying anything is locked up after what we saw that year with that award, which I really think should be banished after last year's atrocity. That said, before we get to questions, we're going to have questions coming right around the corner. We got to get to our good friend and yours, Eric Sztanyo. All right, now is that time where we bring in our good friend. You know him, has the #1 real estate YouTube channel in Cincinnati, Keller Williams Realtors, Eric Sztanyo. Sztanyo, what's up?
What's up, Paul? Good to see you again. It's been hope you had a good Thanksgiving trip. It's been a roller coaster of emotions for us Bengals fans the last few weeks, to say the least.
It has. It has, but it's good. It's good to see you again and catch up with you. I know that is this a busy season? Like, did we get into are the holidays a busy season right now, or does it kind of slow down a little bit for you?
Typically it does slow down a little bit, and you can catch up on some continuing education stuff. But this year, it's going pretty strong for Team Sztanyo over here. We got a lot of stuff, a lot of irons on the, what's the phrase? Irons in the fire? Is that it?
Yeah, they're in there. That's where
irons
they're at.
In the fire.
They're in the fire. Yeah, absolutely. That's good to know.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with this. You got a question for me? Let's go. What do you got for me?
All right. I was thinking about this, and I formed this question thinking that we were going to win against Pittsburgh. I don't know. I just thought we were going to win. We did not. But it's been a hard season, obviously. And part of that is expectations were so high. Part of that is the offense has been just so freaking good. And so it's just been a weird season as a fan. But one thing I know, as we're kind of playing out the string here, in my 30 years as a Bengals fan, is that they are amazingly creative at breaking your heart. Okay. Mm-hmm. As a fan, they're very good at this. They're very creative. They come up with ways you don't see it. And so what I want to do, this is going to be a little bit weird, but fans who are out there, I promise this is for your sake. This is for your benefit.
Okay.
Okay. My question is, can you please go like ultra Paul Downer Jr. mode and give us what is the worst possible thing that could happen in these final games, barring like catastrophic injury to Joe and Jamar or a Carson Palmer situation or anything like that. But like, what is the most creative way that they could break our hearts the rest of the year?
So don't go to the true darkest timeline.
Not the true, the
true darkest timeline.
Anything happens,
number 9,
shows
number
off
1.
limits.
So let's take them out of it and assume, under assumption that everything just finishes for them just fine. We're taking them off of the table. Cool. That's fair. This is, a concerning way for you to go here to want to hear the worst case scenario.
I say ourselves emotionally and mentally.
I think there's at least a silver lining to losing every game. So that's not actually the answer here.
That's right.
You lose every game, another top 5 pick comes your way, and maybe that can be the impetus to the next big thing and give you what you need. Certainly that's, so that doesn't matter. I think it is, probably winning a couple of these games. It won't matter. So they win some, right? But they keep winning the way that they have, where the offense continues to score. So that, I know that doesn't seem dark, but that's the only way they're going to win. Right. The point of this is all of these young players on defense that they need somebody to give them some hope, right? They need, whether it's Miles Murphy or Josh Newton or Cam Taylor-Britt or Jordan Battle or Chris Jenkins or McKinley Jackson, all of these guys, they need to get some hope that they can be part of the answer. And if they come out and they just unequivocally suck across the board, right? Like they do nothing right. They fail. You asked for this. You.
This is good. Yeah, I'm already letting it seep in.
If they suck across the board and continue to give up 30+ points per game, that is while winning. So you don't get the pick that makes it a little bit better. You hurt your draft position, and what you have to have, which is some kind of hope from these young players, never comes. That's probably the darkest timeline of I would say. So you asked for this.
Gross.
You asked for this, and so I gave it to you. I do have a question for you before I let you out of here. I have been thinking about this as I drive around. Well, it used to be my neighborhood I would focus on. Now it's every single neighborhood that I go to. I see all of these luxury townhome things that pop up everywhere, and they are obviously very expensive. They're showing up in small bits, they're showing up in big bits, there's just nowhere they don't exist anymore.
Right.
What does that mean for like my house value, for neighborhood value? Is it good? Is it bad? Like, because if I live in a neighborhood where there's just a bunch of our old houses, there's character there. We love that. And now all of these are showing up all over the place. And I love seeing that value in my neighborhood, but I don't like seeing all that new. It changes the neighborhood. What is the assessment of those? Are they good? Are they bad? Should I be wary of them?
Yeah. No, good question. And they're all popping up, and they all say luxury urban living.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's right. So, I think overall what you got to look at is why are they happening? And it comes down to supply and demand. People are buying them or they wouldn't keep building them, right? So who are the people buying them? They're baby boomers looking to downsize. They're also millennials looking for that upscale living. And both of those buyers want low maintenance living. So they don't want to take care of a yard. And they also want to be closer to amenities. So right now, if you want to build that bigger house, you've got to go out in the burbs further out, Mason or Union, Kentucky or something like that. And these are people who want to be closer in. Now, the city of Cincinnati they've made a recent change zoning wise where there's going to be more of this. Okay. It's not slowing down. There's going to be more urban infill. They've kind of changed the zoning laws to allow for that because they're trying to get more density within the city limits. So it's not stopping. But to your question, does it help or hurt your property values? It obviously changes a little bit the character of the town. I live in Fort Thomas, Kentucky. There was a huge, the Facebook groups, by the way, and I know Mark would appreciate this. Get on there and read the fights between the Facebook groups because those are hilarious to watch. And people are like, no, never change anything. But the argument for it is these are expensive properties, and the people who are buying those properties can afford expensive luxury townhomes. And so for your property value, it's always a good thing when you're bringing in more buyers who can help the local businesses, who can afford those values. Ultimately, that's only going to drive up your property value in the long term. Okay. Love that. Need that. Like hearing that. Yeah. Makes me feel a little bit better about that, even though I'm just the construction I don't like. The construction I could definitely do without. But for more great advice like that and everything else you could ever imagine, subscribe on YouTube at Team Sztanyo. That's SZTANYO. And of course, you can email directly info@teamsztanyo.com or go to www.teamsztanyo.com to connect if you're buying or selling or you just want to talk a little Bengals. That's right. You're a growl pal. Yeah. Join Sztanyo. All right. We'll talk to you later. Thanks. Awesome. Thanks, Paul. See you. All right. Much thanks to Eric Sztanyo for joining us. And there we go. He wants you to check out the Facebook groups.
Yeah, the Facebook groups are great, but I always love having Sztanyo in here. This is also a good reminder to all the Growl Pals. Check us out on YouTube because you can see how Paul effortlessly just changed his shirt for that. You got a little bit more formal for him. Now you're back to a little bit more casual for the rest of this show, which I appreciate. All right. Do you have questions? Do you now have questions from the Growler podcast at gmail.com? Thanks everybody that's been loading that thing up. It has been full. That thing has been running very hot lately. A lot of good praise from people saying, this podcast is one of the few things that's keeping them interested in the team, keeping them following. And, a lot of the Spotify year-end wrapped lists are coming out. So I love seeing the people that are sharing those and tagging the Growler podcast in that because that's on their top 5. But, we're in that point of the season. I don't know if you saw this in the inbox, but Some guy sent us like a 10-page report. So
Yes.
shout out to that dude. I think it was Jamie. He sent like this huge exhaustive thing. He's like, can you somehow pass this to the Bengals? And like, I kind of scrolled through it. I was like, maybe we can talk about this on the show, but it was like so in depth. It kind of blew me away. It was a little scary, honestly.
Yeah, it needs respect for the fact that he put it together. I mean, that was like something you would spend days. It made me think like, do I need to do another 4-part series just on that email? Because it was the most, I mean, it looks like that's the business that he's in. So he creates those sort of regularly, and he decided to just dedicate himself to a Bengals one. Shout out to you, Jamie. I just want to let you know, I don't think we have the ability to break that down. We would need many episodes probably. But it was well done, and I'll see if I can slide that under. It might be, if I printed it out, it might be too thick to slide under anyone's door. Actually, I don't know that I can do that.
Maybe what we do is like a postseason, wrap up show at BetMGM, like a town hall. Everybody come with your solutions, and we're going to fix this together. And then we take the best ideas, and then you slide those under the door and pass those along. That'd be a fun show. So we're at that point from our Growl pals. This email kicking us off today is from Ray. He's throwing this out as a possible topic. He says the defense can't give up points if it's not on the field. Is it possible the Bengals may have won some games they lost, particularly the Ravens games, by burning more time on scoring drives instead of Jamar just taking a pass for 70 yards and an instant touchdown? Granted, I'd also be miserable as a fan if every game looked like the Philly game. Points and big plays are fun, but the madness of this season has driven me to this question. I mean, that's pretty dark, right? Like, is the offense so good that it's costing us games?
Boy, you know that fans' heads are just absolutely twisted in knots when they've gotten to the point of, wait, maybe the long touchdowns to Jamar are bad. Maybe we shouldn't want these, right? Like, has anybody thought about all these big plays from Jamar Chase being the problem?
Yeah.
Has anyone thought about this?
Fire Dan Pitcher. No one's talking about that, but he blew this season because he made them score too fast with all these little new wrinkles on his offense. Get rid of him.
All offseason about how they need to be more explosive, and everybody's in agreement. Now they're too explosive somehow.
Slow it down.
I get it. I understand what you're saying. Like, yeah, keeping the defense off the field, run game. Yeah. Look, score points on drives, right? That's scoring points should be good. It should always be good, no matter how you do it. They have plenty of drives that are long. They've had many 10, 11, 12 play touchdown drives that they've had this year. So it's not like they're all like that. But I'm gonna go ahead and say that's not the issue right now. And I think it's still good to have 70-yard touchdown passes to Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I recall several long drives that ended in 0 points because a field goal was hilariously kicked wide. We got so I'm going to combine a couple of these next questions, right? So this first one's from Jen. She says, she's usually sends in rants about, how frustrating the season's been, but she says she still has faith for the next couple of years because it seems like they're a copy of the Ravens, right? This Bengals team, great offense, bad defense, iffy special teams. So all she wants for Christmas is a new defensive coordinator and a new special teams coordinator. And, hopes that can be enough, right? Like you were talking with Sztanyo about maybe some of these young defensive guys will step up. Maybe Jenkins, Jackson, Murphy, Hill, and Turner can be good next year. That's kind of what she's holding on to, right? Along with that, this is from Earl. He says, do you trust the Bengals will do enough or make enough of the correct moves to fix this defense to a point that they can be a serious playoff contender? Not necessarily turning into a top 5 defense, not blowing it all up, but just making the right moves to make it a top 20 defense. Do you trust in them to do that this offseason?
I mean, do I trust them after what we've seen the last couple of years? I don't know. But let's kind of talk about, let's Cliff's notes this. I mean, there's going to be a lot of time, both in the written word and in podcasts for you guys spent breaking down this offseason. And I'm already preparing to basically need to take a week just to put together the choose your own adventure spreadsheet that we do every year, because there's so many different paths that are going to need to be plotted as potential different ways to do this. But just for 1 second, they need to go from being what they are, which is obviously historically terrible, to can they get to average? I think has to be the idea of going from this to top 10 or top 5. Like, just we throw that out the window, and you don't need that. with this offense and what that can be, and granted, there's other issues there. We're talking about offensive line, replacing T. Higgins, yada yada. Again, there's a lot of tangents, but just from a defensive perspective, you just need to get to being okay, to being average, and that is just getting some of these people that have given you zilch for a lot of money to get people that give you something for a lot of money. And there's going to be a lot of money. They are currently 9th in cap space for next year with an effective number of 50 million via over the cap. They have so many dead weight cuts that are possible, and that I think you probably will see them be aggressive with. Sheldon Rankins will save them $9.5 million next year. Hubbard 9.6 if they go that way. Kappa, if they decide to do that, would be $8 million. Geno Stone would be $6.5 million. Just those alone get you all the way up to $33.6 million on top of the 50 they already have. Then they could trade Trey Hendrickson. He's the one piece of value. I know a lot of people don't like that. It's one more year left. He's going to be mad about his contract. Yep. He just turned 30 yesterday. Happy birthday, Trey. Everyone thinks you're old now. But one more year, he's going to be mad about his contract. You can save the money and probably get picks. Brian Burns was traded, and there was a 2 and a 5. Like, you probably be looking something maybe like that you could pull off, considering how dominant Trey has been, how much people want pass rushers. Nobody's saying that's good, but when you need so many things, you clear yourself another $18 million in cap space plus a premium pick that you can add in to switch out. So you could potentially find something there. Jermaine Pratt, if you wanted to go all the way, could save you $5.6 million against the cap. You're up over $100 million to spend. And potentially with that, you could even add picks. That's a lot of money to go get a defense that you just need to be average. And they've done that before, when they went and they got Von Bell and Mike Hilton, and they got DJ Reader. And I mean, that was spending a fraction of the amount of money that they would have available. A lot of it's going to go to Chase. That's fine. But I think when you think about it that way, like, you just got to hit. You can't whiff. You can't go Geno Stone, Sheldon Rankins, Von Bell. And Von Bell doesn't even hardly count. He was basically free. But you know what I'm saying? You can't have it's the misses. It's the draft misses. It's free agency misses. It's not the fact they can't do it. I mean, there's plenty of money there to do a number of things. So many things they could do this year. They're gonna have a lot. They're not up against it. Like when there was a story, I'm tangenting further now. It was well done. It was on MMQB about the idea of them trading Jamar Chase, and like the Chiefs did with Tyreek Hill to try to offset all the QB money and whatever, and you can get so much in return. You'll get all these picks, and you'll have all this money to spend. Well, they don't need that. Like, they have money. They have the ability to fix this thing. They've just got to make the right moves. It's not like they're that far up against it and strangled by this quarterback contract. They haven't paid anyone. I mean, they haven't paid anyone.
Yeah.
So they have tons of money to go spend this offseason and figure out a way to fill these holes, whether between cutting dead weight and the money they have. It is not hard. I mean, it's hard in the actual execution, but it's not like they're so up against it where it's just like, oh, how could anyone do this? It's plenty easy to do. It's just a matter of actually going out there and executing it by hitting in the draft and free agency and getting some development from the current guys you have, like I mentioned with Sztanyo.
I mean, yeah, that's the important takeaway for me from this season. It's just that's how good the Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and this offense has been. The fact that, like, we really are so close to just having this record flipped if you look at some of those tight games. And that is with the front office completely blowing pretty much every free agent move on the defensive side of the ball. The draft, not great. A couple bad years of drafting. Like, what was it? 9 premium top 100 picks on defense over the last few years or something like that.
Yep.
And they're not good, right? So, I mean, the fact that they were able to blow all the draft picks, blow all these free agency signings, and the team is still close. All they have to do is be a little bit better. You know, you look at all these holes they have. They don't have to fill all of them. Just fill 2 of them, and this team is completely different. Which is why I don't want to be on this. The only move I've got a problem with here is the trading Trey Hendrickson. It makes sense. I understand that, right? Like, you freeze up the money. But It's so hard. Like they've had money, they've had draft picks, and they don't always use it well. They don't. So I don't know if more of those is the right answer. I'd rather have one more year of Trey. Like go out there, lead the NFL in sacks again, then go get paid. I mean, in a perfect world, just give them some guaranteed money, keep them for another couple seasons. But if they're unwilling to do that, just run it back. I'm fine with that because they struggle so much to find good defensive players that even with the money and the picks, I'm not confident that they would be able to replace any of that pass rush juice.
Yeah, no question. I think that's more of a how far are they willing to go in terms of blowing the defense up. And if it's like if you have so many pieces to fill, so many things that you need, well, then you need to take maybe your most valuable asset and spread it to get 3 or 4 different ones that all have a chance to give you a little bit more in the long run is the philosophy. But yeah, I mean, no one is going to say that it would be bad to go get another double-digit sack season from Trey Hendrickson. Obviously, that'd be great if you felt like you could count on that and he'd be on board and what have you.
This next email is from Brian. I like his everyone's grasping for an answer. Everyone's grasping for something to blame.
Aren't we all?
So Brian, he said the surprising part of the defensive side on the positive was the run defense. I think he was just talking about this last game, right? Can't be the whole season, but most expected it to be terrible this season, right? The run defense. But here's what I really like about this email. He said the Bengals season turned precisely when Josh Snead and Cincy Shirts started sponsoring the walkout. Why is no one talking about this? Why doesn't he make a shirt about this? Would love to hear ideas about what this shirt could be. So he's putting the entire blame for this season on Cincy Shirts and this podcast.
I love that the season, quote, turned when Cincy Shirts started sponsoring the walk. That was week 1. Okay. Like that's basically when was it going well? I must have missed that part of the preseason where everything was hunky-dory while Jamar Chase hat watch was happening every day. And they came out, Cincy Shirts is here and now it turned. No, I think it was always bad. But yeah, I like the idea of putting this on Josh. Like this is Josh's fault. This is Cincy Shirts' fault. I like
he
that.
Needs to apologize to the city. It's not the front office that completely messed up the draft and completely ruined it in free agency. It's definitely the t-shirt sponsor for one of your 5 or 6 podcasts,
Banish Josh to the big boy cage and make him do a tight 45 there.
I don't want to necessarily throw this out because that's a different show. The walkout, sure, blame that. But if we're going to have advertisers catching strays here, it's not long before they start coming for Sztanyo.
No doubt.
He's the real reason that this is. So let's try and protect him and his nice hats, and we'll try and stick up for Josh and our very good friends over there. Yeah, we don't want them taking shots at graders too. What if they come for graders next?
You come for graders, you come for all of us.
It really turned after graders, and no, you can't do that. We've given out way too much free ice cream. It's been like a highlight for our Growl Pals at our live shows, is giving out free graders to everybody. So
no doubt.
We're doing our part on this show to keep people happy, whether it's you doing 6 podcasts and whether it's our advertisers sponsoring those and graders providing ice cream, Cincy Shirts, giving us free shirts to give out to people, Sztanyo bringing his hats to shows. We're all doing our part. So, don't let them catch the strays.
It ain't us.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What else we got?
This next one is from Christian. So Jay and I talked about his question last week. His kid was starting a podcast and he wanted tips for his daughter's podcast. So Jay and I gave him some advice on that. He also came out to Go Bananas last night. So shout out to Christian for that. And good reminder, I'm there this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But he said he had a good laugh with his 13-year-old daughter hearing us talk about that. So he let us know what his 13-year-old kid did for her podcast. Because we're like, what is the topic going to be? Are they going to be just talking crap about parents or throwing out trash talk about their teachers, or how that's going to be? And so he said the first topic was on their pilot show was one of interest to teenage girls across the planet, gun violence.
What?
So they opened their podcast with an episode on gun violence.
They opened with gun violence. Hey, you know what? Come in strong.
Episode 2 of the 13-year-old girl podcast was the topic for that one was suicide prevention. So this is a very lighthearted listen, apparently.
Okay.
I don't know if the kids are all right. But important topics for sure.
Wow. Very important topics. I think some advice would be to build up to those. I mean, I think work your way up. Maybe start with something a little lower about like, entering high school or something like that, or orientation issues.
How to make friends at a new school.
How
Like
to make
that's fun.
right. And get your voice before you go full into the gun violence debate. Or, I feel I appreciate, I love the effort. I love the effort.
Important topics. I'm just a little concerned about the arc of this podcast and where they go from here and whether it starts to get lighter or darker. But, good luck to all of them. But kind of we do have another question here too. And this is from Paul C. He said, can Paul please give Lou and the rest of the defense a Christmas gift of future fans football?
Wow.
He just wants them. He thinks the beanbags and those missions, the book, could really help them figure out what Justin Fields might do when he comes into the game, and maybe future fans, and that could really kind of help that defense out.
For those that don't know, like future fans, that actually, like when this shows up, this big box at your door, I think the first page in it should be like, if a quarterback that runs the ball, shows up in a position where it looks like the other team might run the ball, you should consider tackling him. Like, I think that actually is in the storybook when they go to the cabin retreat to learn about different parts of sports. I think that's actually in here. For those that don't know, future fans is a great way to teach your kids how football works. You guys have heard me talk about this a bunch. I love this product. It's made by some Growl pals who did it when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl in 2021. They wanted to experience it with their kids, and their kids just had a hard time understanding it. So they came up with a great way to teach it. This is such an awesome way to do it. Future fans brings you in the storybook that you read, and you unbox stuff every single week. And so it's like this parallel learning. So like they have the ropes and the bean bags, like you mentioned. I mean, that is the easiest way to teach. My kids learned it. They loved it. And now they sit there and they watch football and they call out the plays and all this stuff for me now. It's just, it takes a week or two to go through it all, and they get excited every day. And next thing you know, they're sitting next to you and they know how the game works, and you can enjoy it with them. You create this lifetime of experience of your kid who can learn the game with you. It's kind of geared towards age 4 to 8. It's $49.99. You go to the Future Fans website. They have it here if you're looking for a gift. This is a great gift if you have a dad or a mom that want to teach football to their kids and give them a fun experience. Awesome gift. It's right here at King Arthur's Court in Oakley, in my hood, so you can go down and pick it up there as well. Make sure you do that. It seriously is awesome. It works. It's fun in the process. And you can go to page 3 where they should tell you that you should watch Justin Fields on 34.
Here's what the most important takeaway from this too is, like, it is the holiday season. What better gift to give your kids, right? Because as soon as they open that up, you get into a little bit, and then you get like 2 solid weeks of just great college football, and they can, you're throwing on important NFL games. It's going to take you to the playoffs. People aren't going to be complaining anymore. They're going to be, your kids will sit there and they're going to watch, all these teams in the college football playoffs and the NFL playoffs. And you might not have had that before. So this is a perfect time to get them on board. What better time?
And if you do it now into this playoffs, then maybe there's a chance they'll pick up a team besides the Bengals, and they won't have to feel what you're currently.
Yeah, they can be the Chiefs fan of 6 years.
Do you have any ambush for me today?
I do.
Should I be ambushed?
Little quick RPB for you. Which of these topics would you most like to stop talking about? The Bengals getting a new coach this offseason, including Bill Belichick. How the Brown family needs to sell the team, or that the Bengals should fire Duke Tobin. If you could retire one of these topics, or which would you most want to stop talking about?
I want to stop talking about selling the team. Like I like to try to live in reality. Okay. And the reality is they're not selling the team. And if they did, that person is moving the team. Okay. So I don't think you want that. I'm going to guess people that love the Bengals and support the Bengals probably don't want them gone as the answer. So I would just say I'm kind of over that. Everyone understands the frustration with the family and ownership when they lose. It's always the first thing that gets yelled. I get it. Nope. Everyone understands the board. It's like complaining about the way Monopoly is structured. It's like Boardwalk and Park Place. Oh, they get me every time. It's like, this is the game. This is the game. This is the board. We can't change the board. This is the game. All right. You have to figure out ways to play around it. The fire Duke Tobin. I get it. Like, it's just people want something new. I think that they have had many runs of success here. It was only a couple of years ago they built one of the best rosters you'll see. Yeah, they had Joe Burrow on the rookie contract. They hit in free agency over and over again. They hit in the draft a bunch. From 11 to 15, they went to the playoffs every year. It's by Andy Dalton. They had these deep rosters. They drafted well. And yeah, drafting is a tough business, man. There's years where you miss. There's years where you hit. Free agency is a dumb business. It's why they mostly stayed out of it over the years. And now they're in it, and people get mad when it blows up in their face. Yeah, because free agency blows up in people's faces. You can't rely on it, and they've had to rely on it because they've missed on draft picks, and round we go. I get a little tired of that because that's also not as much in reality like that of a thing that's going to happen. I don't see that as a thing that's going to happen. Now the coach leaves the coach thing there. I'm over that, especially the Belichick talk or whatever. But I mean, I understand that. At least that's a little bit more in a real conversation that you're going to have. The other ones, they're just not as real. So I tend to kick fantasy a little bit further away than I do reality.
Yeah, isn't Bill interviewing for college jobs? Didn't he talk to UNC?
Apparently.
Wasn't that the biggest thing?
Yeah, apparently he's talking North Carolina right now.
Maybe that's the move for him, so he can just kind of keep an eye on a future girlfriend out of the college ranks. You know, isn't his girlfriend like 22 or 25? He's got like
young girlfriend. She has an old soul, I was told.
Oh yeah. That's always the line. Come on, Bill.
Yeah.
But yeah, if nobody else in the NFL wants him, why are we still talking about him? Road trip preview, Dallas. What do people need to know if they're going to Dallas?
The stadium's in Arlington. And so you're not really, I mean, Dallas, Fort Worth, down the Arlington area, Jerry World is massive, obviously, but it's not exactly the heart of the city necessarily. You're out there away from everything. So I'm not a big fan of those setups. I like the walkable downtown stadium setups. This is not that. This is Texas, so it's all big and sprawling. I'm here to eat meat is kind of the theme of the trip. Take me to your finest meats. And I would like them to be many ounces, and we're just going to make that happen. So I'm thinking, plus it's Monday Night Football, so we get it on a Sunday. Not as exciting on Sunday night, but I've got some friends there that I hope to meet up with. Outside of that, I'm not a huge fan of Dallas or Jerry World necessarily for all of those reasons, but it'll be fine. It's not bad. You can certainly have fun there, but the Monday Night Football thing sounds fun, but from a traveling perspective, you kind of lose the weekend. You're having to take multiple days off work and all of that. So I feel like Monday Night Football, not great for road tripping. And certainly this game, not exactly great for road tripping either when you thought it was going to be something when you booked it back in May.
Yeah, you really had high hopes. You're going to be, enjoying the playoff run and coming up soon. And yeah, the vibes are different. Maybe not in the locker room, but definitely among people that have scheduled that as their road trip to go to this year. But yeah.
And now you have to miss the Simpsons simulcast if you are actually there. So you don't get to see what everyone is actually probably going to be talking about.
The only redeeming part of that game.
Yeah.
So Dallas kind of stinks. I've spent a lot of time in the airport there over the last month on layovers, and the airport's fine. So if that's kind of one of the highlights for your city, it's not a great endorsement.
You're at Go Bananas this weekend. We know that. Do you have any more dates planned the rest of the year?
So I've got some private corporate shows right before Christmas, but then on New Year's Eve, this is on sale now. I'm headlining the Toledo Funny Bone. So that'll be a fun night. So make your New Year's Eve plans now. Buy tickets for that. And then I'll start announcing 2025 dates. My set is up on Nateland too. So Grauhaus can go watch that and see me tell jokes on Nate Bargatze's thing. And, huge thanks to Nate for putting me out to his people and doing that. So go watch that.
And Nate's coming back to Cincinnati, I saw.
Oh, yeah. He just announced
He announced a tour for next year, and it has another Cincinnati date. I went to his show here last year. It was awesome.
Yeah, he's at the top of the game right now. So
No
it's
doubt.
I was psyched that he was, kind of became a supporter for me and put my stuff out on his thing and shared some of my stuff on his social media. So very cool of him to do that. So go watch my stuff on Nateland.
Great stuff. Check it
Dad
out.
Life, what do you got?
I had an incident this past week. I mean, I have a lot of dad life. It was really hard to parse through, considering the road trip vacation brings up lots of good
Oh yeah.
things. But I had one that happened actually just this past week. We were going to it was my daughter. Both of them actually had a kids concert for their school. And they hold it actually at Withrow High School, and the parking there is really bad for how many it's like parents and everybody, people invite grandparents, and you know how these things are. It's 3 grades worth. It's just it's heck. So we never try to park in the parking lot. It's just too much to get in and out of. So we park on the street nearby, which is fine. Except you just kind of it's a little less taken care of, or you never know what you're going to see. Well, we parked. And I pull my daughter out of the side on the street side and go set her down. And I'm like, all right, walk over to the sidewalk. And as soon as I set her down to the sidewalk, there is a dead squirrel, roadkill style, full spread eagle just laying there looking straight up at me.
Oh no.
Just dead roadkill squirrel that I must have parked literally right next to it, like right in front of it. So it's the first thing. And I was just hoping by any hope that my daughter would not see it. And I'm like, oh yeah, go over there. I try to cover her eyes. I'm literally trying to cover her eyes as I get her over to the sidewalk, which is not a good way to walk. So I did get her around it to not recognize it. And of course, my wife and I could not stop laughing at the hilarity of the fact that this thing was looking at it. And of course, I thought I was over it. I'd forgotten it. We'd gotten past it. And I went to leave, and I turned on my reverse cam, and it pops up, and what's looking right up at me on the reverse cam, but dead roadkill squirrel. And it brought up then, of course, my oldest is like, what are you laughing at? And we tried to push it off, and we couldn't. How do you discuss roadkill with young kids? It takes you to a dark place. How did it die? It's dead. What happens to it? Why is it funny?
It was a bad squirrel.
It was a bad
he got
squirrel.
What was coming to him.
It was just the way it was looking at me in the rear view. I don't know how to handle roadkill as a conversation. We were just very straightforward. It was an animal. It was in the street, and it must have gotten hit or run over, and it's dead.
Yeah,
we need this parking spot, and that's just kind of
we had a concert to go to, so we pulled over the squirrel, and that's how it goes.
I don't think I hit it.
Yeah.
I think it was already there because it was in the middle.
And it was already, it was kind of already dead, right? So you kind of saw that. It wasn't like
I didn't see
hobbling
it
to the side and
no,
didn't shout out some last final words of anger and revenge at you or cursing you or anything like that. So
no.
That is a tough one.
What do I do? We went with honesty is the best policy, but I didn't know if that was one of those where we should be lying to our children like we do in many spots that we rationalize.
That's just a stuffed animal squirrel. That's why we're laughing. It is not.
Yeah, I don't know. We were just very honest. It's dead there now, but it's pretty traumatizing to just see a dead squirrel right in front of you, looking right up at you, really close like that. Roadkill on its own, where you can just drive by and be like, oh, there's that deer, and they see it, whatever. You just hope that it doesn't become a conversation point, but that one was hard to avoid.
Yeah, you got to get that up off the streets. Come on, the city's got to do a better job before these big concerts, or the school needs to send somebody in that little radius just to protect the kids.
Maybe I did hit it. I don't
know. You don't need to take that. Don't take that L for the squirrel. You did not hit that. We don't want to anger the animal rights community.
It was a good parking spot. It was worth it.
Maybe that's why everyone else passed it up. It's because they're like, I don't want the karma of parking over this dead squirrel. And you're like, hey,
I needed that spot. What do you got?
For us, so we've been kind of going through it, right? I've been on tour much of November, and we had one kid's birthday, another is today. So we're 2 birthdays. We've got our Christmas concerts for all 3 kind of staggered out over the next week and a half. One of them's playing basketball, 2 of them are in gymnastics. So it's just constant chaos and getting people here, there, getting ready for the holiday season, seeing different friends and stuff. And so it's real easy to kind of complain and bemoan that packed calendar, right? But I'm trying to be more optimistic now. just being somebody that embraces the chaos, because that is the thing. Like, I know rationally in the moment it's so easy to get frustrated by it, but I also know that, like, I'm gonna miss this someday, like that is the time that people are always nostalgic about as parents, and you hear that from the older parents, like, I wish my kids were that age, and your kids are like screaming at the mall or something, and you're like, really, this is what you're missing? But so I'm trying to take that attitude of just really soldiering all of that chaos and just embracing all of the different eccentricities that come with it and different circumstances you run into. And I'm trying to be positive to all of that stuff. But, there are little times when it's just going to come out in different ways where you just kind of lose it and snap, right? So I was letting the middle kid watch YouTube, and she's 9 years old. So I let her use my iPad just to watch some YouTube as I'm trying to get another one ready for gymnastics. And that was fine. But then I saw that she she was watching these different videos and just like leaving little comments on them, little like flirty 9-year-old comments. I like your video, winky face. Oh, I like your smile, and then a little smiley face. And then I remembered she doesn't have a YouTube account. These are all on my business account. Like, this is Mark Shalafu comedy that's just like, I like your video, winky face. And I'm like, you're ruining the brand, kid. We can't have this. This I'm not embracing this chaos. No way. You can't do this.
I love that. Everybody's like, really friendly in the comments. That guy, one of the most friendly comics in the comments you'll ever see. It's remarkable.
For a comedian, he watches a lot of unboxing videos. We wouldn't have guessed that. He's really into kids' toys.
Big Taylor Swift fan. Didn't know that I would see that one coming either.
So if you see a comment from Mark Shalafu comedy anywhere on YouTube, outside of my own videos or outside of the Growler podcast videos on YouTube, just assume that it is one of my children.
Absolutely. Throw them under the bus, especially if you don't like it. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Love it. Great stuff. Reminder to everyone, go see Mark this weekend at Go Bananas. You should always want to go to Go Bananas anyway, because it's awesome.
Great club.
But especially this weekend through Sunday, go check him out there. And of course, we will have we'll have a game preview show with Jay. That will be up. In fact, as you're listening to this, maybe it's already up. And so you can listen to us talk a little bit more about what to expect on Monday Night Football against the Cowboys. Balls Don't Lie from earlier this week is up. It was big. It was packed. We brought all of Lou Anarumo's words and everything else out, and we discussed those, which has just been a lot to get to there. Mo Egger was on that show with us. We will have the walkout after Monday Night Football. We've got Charlie Goldsmith's reaction shows, the rewatch reaction that we've been doing. We'll shove that in on Tuesday. There's just a lot of content for you to consume. Do that on the YouTube page or on anywhere you get your podcast. All right. Thanks everybody for listening, and we will talk to you next time. Have a good one, everybody.